Hi guys, I believe I'm live. Welcome to this week's edition of the Astral Vortex. Just got here in time. Hope you're well. It's been pretty strange times at the moment with everything, planets and all that kind of thing. So if you're feeling weird, I think everyone's feeling weird at the moment. Anyway, this week's, I sort of feel like I should open this broadcast each week with some kind of booming, kind of resonating kind of welcome to the Astral Vortex. And I think that'll probably happen. Funnily enough, in the astral, when you hear, and that's actually, it's as cliched as it sounds, when you hear higher self speak to you in the astral and often other beings, it actually does sound through a resonator. Like it sounds very Hollywood, um, coming through your crown. So you can see those ideas that people get in movies and stuff. That's obviously inspired by actual stuff that happens. And a lot of what I'm talking about today is, so welcome first of all, but a lot of what I'm talking about is how to actually plan the exit of the astral body, because a lot of people talk about it the very kind of 11th minute or the 11th hour, they feel the vibrations, but then they can't actually get out of the body. So there is that really important moment when the actual projection of the astral body happens. So it's good to talk about that and how I feel about it and how I feel you can actually plan for it, because there's a lot that's going on that you're actually circumnavigating. And if you're trying these exercises and can't get out, because you're actually planning for a kind of scenario that's actually not going to happen. And I'll get to that, what I mean by that. So what I found is, it's, if you've had the experience of getting out, it's a lot easier to recreate it, particularly as an adult. Like as a child, you might have forgotten how it felt to get out. As an adult, once you've had it, it's kind of enmeshed in your body, so you can kind of recreate it by bringing about some kind of you can recreate something you've already had, like visualizing something you've seen or imagining the feeling of playing tennis or swimming or riding a bike. But of course, like the first time you actually ride a bike, is that how you thought it was going to be? Or the first time you swung a golf swing or swung a golf club, was that actually the first? Was that how it really was? And funnily enough, there's a great book. There's a writer called William Whitecloud. William Whitecloud, look him up. He wrote a book years ago. It was a little bit like, there's those books like The Art of Motorcycle Repairing or The Art of Zen Motorcycle Repairing, something like that. I just remember years ago there were these books that were very similar. And there was one book he had, it was almost like The Art of Golf, but it wasn't. And I used to play golf, funnily enough, being brought up in Victoria on the sandbelt with lots of golf clubs as a kid. And as an adult, getting into the astral stuff, meditation, this notion of what he talked about in the book was focusing on, rather than like, okay, here's an analogy, pretty lame, but it's actually quite good. You can imagine standing on a tee, you're about to hit a golf ball. Rather than thinking about your swing, you focus on where the hole is, like if it's a par 3 or something like that. And you imagine the ball going in the hole, because that's what you want to do. You don't, the actual mechanics of the swing, unless you're a professional, you know what I mean, is not so important. It's actually focusing on what the outcome you want to happen. And funny enough, in the astral, you really do get taught that outcome is more what you want, rather than thinking about, like in our reality, we're taught to, you've got to go to get the job, go to work, get the money to get what you want, rather than actually just focusing on what it is you want. In the astral, you have immediate manifestation. So I've often thought about this and thought about the roadblocks students get at that final hurdle with the astral experience. So unless you've actually been out of body, we don't actually know how that feels. Okay, you don't actually know how it feels to go out. So what is really good is, rather than, a lot of people, they spend a lot of time imagining leaving the physical body or how it would feel to leave the physical body. Whereas in fact, it's often, sorry, there's a few comments here. I'll just say hi. Hi, Em. Great topic. Thank you. Yeah, it is a good topic. Em, thank you for coming back. I like your hair there, by the way. And also, Mel goes there. Yeah, pleasure. Great to have you guys on board as well. So we're just talking about this topic of actually getting out of the body, and what you should be sort of focusing on. So really, we do these exercises, but as in we do the protocol to relax the body. So basically, if I go through the protocol just very quickly, relaxing the body very much. You can do your breath work and all that kind of stuff, but really, you want to be that can relax you. But when it gets to actually astral traveling, you don't want to embody yourself too much. Okay, so you can practice that during the day, but at night, well, you want to lose the body. So to think about, like I was saying with that golf analogy, the short of it is that as you're falling asleep and you have these intentions, it's very important what intention you're having, how your body is feeling about this intention, because it's a full bodied thing. You're basically training your subconscious into allowing it to happen, because the fact is it does happen. We all do live our body. This is a fact. This is without doubt. Okay, I've seen people's bodies leaving their physical bodies generally before dawn, and there's all these energies coming into the astral body where the chakra system is, like the energy bodies, and then you integrate these energies back into your physical body, or like the home body, if you want to call it that, home body in 3D. The reason it happens, I take it, is that these kind of energies that are vital to us being like we're touching base with home. We're actually getting nourishment. We're actually feeding our energy bodies. We're actually getting that nourishment we need, the vital energies we need, the rejuvenation that we need. That's what happens. Now, if the switch is turned off and you don't become conscious, you've got to wonder about that. The thing is, to get conscious, you've really got to focus on how it would feel to be in that environment. So, okay, so there are so many ways of going out. Everybody has different experiences getting out of their body, but the actual transitional phase from physical to astral varies very much depending on the people and where you're at. I have different kind of I have different experiences now than I did before. I don't really feel the vibrations. I just go to body. So if I'm focusing on the actual um, process, the actual process of how will I leave my physical body in the astral, and I'm thinking about that all the time and tuning it in my subconscious, that might not be how it's going to happen. The subconscious, therefore, is being programmed incorrectly. Really, if it's the first time, you want to get conscious in the astral, and you haven't been out much, and you just want to get out there, that's what you focus on. Rather like the golf analogy, focusing on the hole. And I found the first time I ever tried this, playing very competitively with my older brother, which I love to do. We just love competition. I hadn't played golf for years. I remember just thinking this book, William Whitecloud, I forget what the book was called, but some kind of Zen kind of thing. And I just remember looking at this hole, I thought, geez, I haven't swung the golf club for so long. How do I, what do I get going first? Do I drop my left knee first? Do I, and then I just remember focusing on the hole and I just let my body do what it needed to do. And it just ended right next to the hole and got it in for a nice birdie. And I remember thinking that was kind of, I'd learned that from my astral experiences. So for you to focus, what I'm getting at is to focus on being in this other dimension or this other experience rather than how to get there, and let your body do the work. Like, you really got to learn to let go. I've really learned to let go. And sometimes I feel myself tense up at night and I think, okay, I don't want to go out for whatever reason. That's okay. But if you're kind of grounded to start with, what I mean by grounded is if during the day you have this connection to the earth, this feeling that your guides are around you, you can put white light around you. So many different techniques. Like, I'll put white light, violet flame of Saint Germain, blue light of Archangel Michael, golden mesh of the Christ consciousness. I call it that because I've seen this golden mesh. We all have a golden mesh, which is our kind of ascended or more realized body, connected to our more realized body. So I call them into being. It's not actually being overly defensive. It's being empowered, so that when the time comes to go astrally, I don't have to focus on protection. That so my body is kind of grounded in my other aspects of myself. I've connected to the earth generally during the day because I'm doing Reiki and stuff anyway. So I'll connect to the core crystal. Imagine a beautiful column of light coming around you, connecting to this central core crystal of the earth, an earthy light coming up. So you've done that during the day. Because at night you want to let go of your body. You don't want to be focused on, protection. So I call this empowerment. Now, once again, remember, you are going out of body. Okay. I tried not going out of body for 2 nights. And that's a whole other process to do that, to block the astral body. from, I'm not even talking about conscious, I'm just talking about going out of body, consciously or unconscious. And I blocked it for 2 nights. And I tell you, I felt fine. I slept fine, all that kind of stuff physically. But I could have topped myself after two nights of not going astrally. We all do it. We've got to go home. We've got to get that energy. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a sense of humor in this kind of topsy-turvy kind of reality we live in. So we're all going home, and I know that without a doubt. So that's important to know. So let me get back to topic, and then we can talk about this a bit. But so to focus on the experience you want, as in the feeling of that experience pulling you toward it, is the best description. This is a generalized kind of description of this experience that you can use to tune or to program your subconscious, because in the end it's all about your subconscious. Your subconscious does want to serve you, but it can't serve you in ways that don't actually work. So if you're imagining, like, I know I often say to people, imagine your physical body going out, but what is often more likely the feeling is certain vibrations come or lights, and then this particular experience, or the void, what I call the void, which is like a waiting room, or like, as I call this show, like the Astral Vortex. I've got to get a title up there at some stage, don't I? So you can actually see that Astral Vortex title. But anyway, so what happens is the situation you wish to experience, it pulls you into it, is the best way I can say it. So there, from your viewpoint, and this is probably the most kind of important thing I'd say about the astral experience, is that it is a profound letting go. So we have all these protocols, all these intention, heartfelt intention, for instance, at the moment, and I'll report how this goes. I'm going to go to the Giza pyramid, find out what is happening there with the pyramids. I've kind of checked them out before in the astral, but not seen them built. So I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing. And this is an interesting one to set up as a group project, because if you get more people traveling to the same focus, there's more pull, more intention, more success. As in, there are so many souls focused on 3D. That's why you and me, all of us, are experiencing the 3D, because this is a focus that we have focused on. And I'm talking souls way back, over souls. There is a certain amount of entrapment as well in that, because we've lost sight of where we came from. So getting back to the Egyptian thing, and look, and I know Manny, I know Em mentioned before, it is Muggos, yeah. There's this notion that, is the reality we're living in some kind of, hell? Well, it is. I mean, those people who are not feeling connected to source, that is, hell on earth, basically, that if you're just going through the motions of being a physical being, purely a physical being. So we have to remove ourselves from that hell, not to come back to it. So this notion of focus is something we can think about. So, okay, this is my process. I've already started this process of moving toward seeing how these pyramids were built. This is what I want to see. I want to see how they were built, how it actually happened. That's all I need to know. So your subconscious understands what that means when you say how they had to be built. That's basic. So I want to visit these, particularly the Giza pyramid, and my subconscious knows what I'm talking about, because of all of these articles coming out at the moment about the pillars underneath, and there's more to it, of course, than we think. But I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it, just as I've seen things before. And we all have that access. And really, I'm talking Akashic records, that the records of everything that has ever happened, due to the laws of resonance, even just in 3D, we have a karmic memory within ourselves that goes way back to the elements. So when the elements separated and became manifest, whatever trauma came with the elements, that sounds funny, trauma or experience, we actually karmically have that within ourselves. We are made of minerals and fire and water. Just as we have, there's about, about 6 or 8 karmic bodies we have. So these are the things we bring in. Most of them are non-volitional. We don't have will toward them, like you don't have will toward your ancestral karma, all this kind of stuff. But we have will toward the certain karmas that we are, that we can actually control. And when I say ancestral, look, we can go back and dissolve a lot of that trauma. That's the beauty about the astral, is that you go straight into these things, you see it, and you dissolve it just upon seeing it. Getting back to the pyramids. So my vibe is, okay, I want to go. So I'm basically cajoling my subconscious into helping me have this experience, but I need to do it in such a way that the subconscious can actually help me. So there are certain divine mechanisms that are in place within the human energy system. One of them is the astral experience. This mechanism is best served and best operated if you focus on the outcome of what you want rather than how to get there. Okay, so imagine we're jumping a body of water that is jumpable. We're going to run and jump it, but when you actually jump, you kind of release. You let go. When you're actually in the air, you're letting go. With the astral, is very much that feeling. So this feeling of trust. These lower chakras are really good to focus on that. There's base, sacral, solar plexus in particular. These are the things that to do with trust, identity, being on earth. Breathing through these chakras a lot helps you surrender more. And with the astral experience, that pays dividends. So what I'll do is, getting back to the pyramids again, I'll just think, my mind's eye will come up with the feeling of the pyramids. But really, I don't even need to worry about that, because you've read things about it. Your subconscious understands it, because, as I was saying before, with the memories, the Akashic records, due to the laws of resonance, are through every experience that has ever been on the planet, and our body is resonant to all of that. So our body contains the Akashic records. So our physical body, on some kind of stratum, actually resonates with everything that has happened, and everything that has happened on Earth is downloaded, or it's on a memory stick, if you like, within the physical body as well. So as the inner, so the outer. So it's all the one. The physical body is the thing to feel into and to lose the fear of the event. But just to, like, my protocol at the moment is thinking, okay, each morning I'll think, I'll relax my body and mind very much, and then I'll just think, Giza pyramid, Egyptian's pyramid, I want to go there. I'm going to go there. I'm going to leave my body, travel to the pyramids, and see how and why they were built. Okay, that's what I'm putting out there. I'm going to travel to the pyramids out of my body and see how and why they're built. Now, your subconscious might come up with some little narrative. It might show you something that, maybe you've been told they've been done with sound or been hauled. These blocks. It doesn't really matter. It's good to keep that out of the equation, because you want to be as objective as you can be. So your system is subjective enough to get there. And I mean that when I say subjective, as in it understands the subject of the pyramids. We don't need to layer any more of these narratives on top. Otherwise, you're going to cloud it with complications that your subconscious might not be able to align to, because the subconscious might be thinking, you want to see them dragging these blocks, you want to see sound moving them. We've got to let go of all that. It's like people have asked me, is the earth flat? When I've been in the astral, I've seen an earth that is not flat. But that could be my narrative, but that's what I've seen. That's what I've felt. I've seen the earth kind of pulsing in its own mind. I've seen it I remember seeing bands of red around it. I remember the first time I went out from the earth, and I've been out the earth a few times. I look back, and I could see it pulsating with consciousness, and it was in some kind of pain. It was like wanting to, kind of shrug us off to a certain extent. But it was also feeling, I had an empathy for the earth, but it was also feeling that the earth is okay. It will be okay. Humankind needs to look after itself, and that will serve the earth. So if really humans, it kind of knocked the warrior out of me, as in, the warrior, because I realized that what serves humanity serves the earth. I'm talking organic food, doesn't poison the earth, doesn't poison us. all the I'm saying you can that can go further and further. Or pulling a plastic bag out of the ocean, it feels good for me. I'm not doing it to be a goody goody for the earth. That separates you when you are doing something for if you got a meaning. So it's the same with the astral. To realize you're not separate from to realize that your guts, your bones, your blood, your very being is at all times astral. But what does that mean? Is resonating with everything that's happened, is resonating with the earth, is resonating with animals, is resonating with everybody. And when you start to do that, this notion of being 5D and above, you kind of move into a state of constant deja vu, which I find is often the state. You have this real feeling of trust and surrender. You'll be looked after. For instance, I'm doing pretty weird stuff. Should I be doing a normal job to pay the rent and all this kind of stuff? And what's a normal job? I know that I'm kind of being looked after. I know it sounds funny, but so what I'm saying is not being separate from, trusting, like knowing that, for instance, the things that your material well-being, your financial well-being, these are all extensions of yourself, that they're a given. We don't have to focus on the going and getting them, even though 3D will push us into that. So even as a group, you are watching now, and you can let me know how this goes too in the future. We might even set up some kind of thing where we do it all together at the same time, and I'll take you through some guided stuff. That could be good. For next week, maybe we do a guided thing. Getting back to this focus. So if a group of us now and those who follow and watch this movie on Facebook or later, I think I can see here. Oh yeah, so most of you are on YouTube now. I can see you, and watching the YouTube later too. It doesn't matter. There's no time, and I've really tested this concept of time. I remember once going back and seeing the dinosaurs. It was quite fantastic because I'd heard, I might have mentioned this recently, but I heard there was a stampede of dinosaurs in Central Australia. But what was weird was in the coverage of it in this particular news article was that there are very many different species all together in one area. So I wanted to see this. That was my intention. Then I found myself kind of in the void, and then I remember thinking, that's what I'm talking about, getting astral. Often you'll just go to like a waiting room called the void. So if you close your eyes now, the reason it's called astral travel, there is a feeling of movement. But just imagine this feeling of this waiting room pulling you into it. So it's a feeling, you felt movement. Your body has felt movement into a very darkened space. Now, when you're there, because you set up the intention to want to experience something, I go into this void. Basically, my mind is awakened somehow. Doesn't matter how. Can be vibrations, lights, some other way. But my mind is awakened when my body is asleep, okay? And I'm pulled, the feeling of a void is somehow pulling me toward it. So it is a guided experience. So it's like leading something. Like imagine you're leading a horse to the gate or leading a horse somewhere. It's like you're guiding the horse. Okay, so why wouldn't it be pulling you? I'm in this void, then I remembered what I wanted to experience. All I knew was I'd read this article about it. My subconscious resonates with the Akashic records, which is everything, which is a record that is within your being, whether it's inner or outer, doesn't matter. I actually think that it's actually in the body as well. So the physical body is almost at the heart of our higher bodies, if you think of it. So all our higher bodies exist before the physical. So if it's in our higher bodies, it'll be in our physical body as well. So, and instantly I found myself in front of a scene where all of these bizarre, and I knew, and that were running over this plateau. And what was bizarre, it was wet, it was muddy, and I remember the sound of it was just deafening. I remember seeing animals that like had duck bills and things, really big, like unusual looking dinosaurs. And then I was above it, and what blew me away was the color. All of these dinosaurs, that's what I took them to be, had like were purpley or red or blue, and they had like they were either what's it called, like feathers or some kind of down. And I was so blown away. It was so beautiful to see all these colors, different sizes, and they were just running. And it was like the earth was kind of trembling. It was almost like a volcanic kind of situation. But I was so taken with this, and I was only there for 30 seconds or so. Then I was brought back to my body because it was so full on, so uber real, and it was just beautiful to see these colors. And I knew it to be so. Okay, my body knew that that was what that Central Australian stampede looked like. So it's going to be quite specific. So and later on, years later, I was to read that there was in fact evidence to suggest that dinosaurs were colourful, had down, had feathers. So now in my mind, I see them differently. When they show dinosaurs like Jurassic Park, I don't see them that way. I see them as, I guess you could say, like big birds, but a lot of them look like dodo birds. I know it's a weird thing to say, but kind of big bill. They have different bills to what we think, like a bill, platypus bill, but spoon bill dinosaurs, and big, very curious. Getting back to the Egypt thing, so to look out for narratives that may influence and try to be as neutral as you can. I found through my experiences doing astral stuff, I've become kind of what I call deliciously dumb. I talk about that a lot to my students because I had an experience years ago where I had a left brain freeze. It wasn't a stroke. I had it checked out years later with an MRI, but I was unable to, after it was during a meditation. I think I might have spoken about this here, but it was a curious situation where like the left part of my brain, I felt like a finger push in and then I couldn't speak for a long time. So, but I found the narrator left the building. So it was kind of like this beautiful simplicity, and the cogs had to come back because they had to learn how to talk and speak. And that was one of the reasons I wrote my book on astral travel, was as a therapy. But I found that it served me well in terms, and if you think what the left brain represents, this analytical aspect of you, know that at all times you resonate with every experience. So your body, and when I say your physical body, all your bodies and your astral body as well, knows the pyramids. It knows what they are. The memory of the pyramids is within you. Know that, okay? So when you suggest to your subconscious that you wish to go to the Great Pyramid in Egypt, it knows those three pyramids, the big one. It knows. And often you can get glimpses. So during the day at the moment, like I'm meditating a couple of times on this, I'm just sort of thinking, okay, when the time's right, I'm going to leave my body. I'm going to go and see how and why those pyramids were built. Plus, what's underneath. I think you'll kind of get a feel when you go and see that. So when you're in the astral, you can kind of go through the earth, and it's very easy to move through things. And that is a good thing to practice, is to imagine this notion that when you are in the astral, that you can see clearly. Just to think, I can leave my body and I can see clearly. These are things you can practice, and your subconscious understands. Or I can leave my body and I can move through walls and substances at will. These are things you can practice. But the actual leaving of the astral body from the physical, this is something that is more about letting go than willing, if you know what I mean. So we will ourselves to go astral gently, and we can will the experience by saying, come on, I want to have this experience, and that's good to do. But in terms of actually imagining yourself willing out of the physical, not really. I'd have to say, not really. It's a letting go. So if you tell yourself you fully trust the experience, as I say, ground during the day, use whatever empowerment or protection you like, but tell yourself that you are safe, you're protected, it's guided, it is guided experience. Feel a childlike anticipation, excitement toward that experience, but don't get too excited. Just feel, yeah, this is great. You're going to leave your physical body. You're going to go to the pyramids in Egypt. You're going to see how and why they were built, and you're going to remember the entire experience. Okay, you're going to leave your physical body. You're going to go there. So don't have to focus on the flying or obsess with the flying there. But where you do want to obsess is with this experience. You want to obsess a little bit, like, great, I can't wait to the experience. And you can look at pictures during the day if you want of the pyramids. But do know that your system knows. We don't want to short circuit the subconscious into doing something it can't. Because if you keep on thinking you're going to pull out of the body like the way maybe you're thinking, The subconscious is trying to recreate that act for you. It's thinking, oh, that's important to you. What'll happen is that'll actually wake you up at the precipice because it doesn't know how to do it. The subconscious doesn't know how to do that. It'll wake you up and you'll be thinking, and you'll get the vibrations. You're thinking, shit, this is it. And you wake up. It's like obsessing about a golf swing. I know the times I like to play tennis as well. And, I just play naturally. I've never had a lesson. I never had a lesson with golf or surfing. I just do what comes. Doesn't mean I'm particularly good at it. But the funny thing is, the times I've tried a while ago, I thought, I should really look up some stuff on YouTube about proper grips on the tennis racket and tactics. And I go on the tennis court and play with my tennis buddy, and I play the worst game of my life because I'm thinking, so when he hits there, I should go there. And it's like, what? That's just not the way I operate. If I'm a professional tennis player, I'd have to, but I'm not. But the beauty about the Astral experience is that it's an experience that you can reproduce when you've had the experience a few times. So because you know how that feels. And as I said, I don't want to influence you too much because it's changed over the years. Now I know I'm in a different realm because it's different to the 3D. So I'm looking for different items. I'm looking for different beings. Like normally a person shouldn't be hovering above you. So I'm looking for those things. Then I know I'm in there. So the astral pulls you through. So these are the hallmarks of an astral experience. As I said, there is the feeling of movement of the body. That's why it's called travel or projection. That is a hallmark. The other one is that the experience itself somehow pulls you toward it. I've always said you've got to meet it halfway. So, but that can, and I've been thinking about that lately. It can complicate things if you think too much about this notion of pulling out of the body. That can make things too manual, and it can, I think, short circuit things. So more feel yourself that you want this experience and the experience is pulling itself toward you. The other way of getting to an experience is not going through the void, but just actually rocking up in that particular realm. But there's a feeling of being pulled there. So know that it's a guided experience. Therefore, call upon your guides. Tell your guides, tell your subconscious as well that it's in your interests, higher interests, to go to the pyramids and see what's going on, because this is in the interests of your highest purpose or your highest good. So these are things that you can program yourself, because then the subconscious can have a bit of a lasso around you, thinking that it doesn't want you to freak out too much and think you're dying. So losing the fear of death is also always very handy, because that is a repercussion of the astral experience as well. What I'm saying is it's a little bit like one of those computer table tennis games. The more you go astral, the more then you're able to go astral, the more you go. So you lose the fear of death, and that helps you go astral. So it's like something that starts to build and build and build and build. All you need is to get out once or twice early on, particularly the first. If you have a really strong out-of-body experience the first time, that's easy to recreate. But I have times sometimes when I can't. That's why what I do now is I will just set up this trip, and I will not make it hard work. I'm just thinking the Egyptian pyramid's great, and I will go there. I will get there. It's a question of when, and sometimes will I go somewhere else first? I don't know, but I'm going to travel to see them being built, how and why. And even that can be through the lens. So I'm very wary of any kind of narratives, any programming. It's like mirrors looking at itself. But what I find is when you're in astral, it is very full-bodied, it's very ecstatic, and there is the feeling of some kind of truth happening. So it's like your body getting to know itself better. So if you experience something, in your field, if you have doubts about certain things, is the planet flat? Is the planet round? Do I have guides? Have I had past lives? If these are things oscillating in your system, that's causing a slight disruption. So it's good to get out and actually experience it. So that's why I think that if there's any themes, like with the dinosaurs, I just want to see them for myself, not to prove anything, because I found that it'll always surprise you. So I'm sure there's something about the pyramids different to what we all think, but you want to experience it firsthand, because as I said, it resonates with you. Pyramids are a thing. I've probably got a pyramid somewhere here on my table. No, I don't. I've got a few around the place. Um, I've got a great Giza pyramid. Oh, I hadn't even thought of that for this, but I'll sit under my Giza pyramid. I'll set it up. It's a 2 meter, exactly the same proportion. So it's a Fibonacci sequence. The Giza is built on Fibonacci or Schumann. Therefore, it's a healing, it's a calming frequency, whereas a Nubian pyramid is a more vertical, or often called an African pyramid, and that's more a whirly kind of thing, a different kind of energetic thing. So in the next few days, I'll sit under my pyramid and think about this, going to Giza, because that pyramid itself will be resonating with the Gizan pyramid, because the structure is of the same ratio. Therefore, it's like people playing guitar strings. If we all had a guitar and they're in tune, and I pluck a string or an A string, then all of your A strings will start to vibrate as well, and eventually you get like a column happening. And so, yeah, I'll sit under that, and I'll look at. I've got a few little Giza pyramids around. I'll just gaze at them occasionally and just get that into my field. The real meditational work is with me relaxing my body, getting into like an alpha or theta phase, getting into a meditative brain state, like a hypnagogic state, where you're not quite asleep. And that's the best time to place in this intention of visiting the pyramids. But you can also have a pyramid lying around, because when you glance at things, you're not always fully beta state, you're not fully analyzing things. So you want to forget the analysis, you want to forget that aspect. Even write down, have a picture of the pyramid and just say, write down visiting the pyramids. And occasionally you'll see that, and your subconscious just thinks, okay, visiting the pyramids. So it doesn't understand past, future. It's all one. So we're looking for a present moment of the astral to snatch us out and take us there. So that is a good group experience we can focus on. Let me know if there's any questions you guys have got while I'm still practicing all this stuff. Oh yeah, one thing here. This astral, yeah, I've got this 7-day Astral Travel Challenge, which is free. Some of you have done it. You can go to my website, and it feeds you this would be a good thing to do in the run up to the Egyptian thing too. It feeds you just different ideas, like a 10 to 15 minute video, just feeding you some ideas to going in the astral. So if you go to the challenge thing, is really good, and each day you'll be sent into your inbox the next video. So that's kind of good. I would recommend you go there and try that free challenge. I've got another 7 days coming up soon too. How do I get? Oh yeah, I see 2 of them went there. So yeah, any more comments? I know I've been going on a bit. Oh, hi Eliza. I think I've got it right back to you too, because I think you wrote to me, and I think on my website. So yes, you did. You mentioned a dream. I will get back to you on that, Eliza. I think you mentioned a great. Oh, pleasure doing them. You mentioned a dream the other day that you met me in some dream and something to do with food or something. That's interesting. I'll look at it again, and I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, and so Eliza, like, tell your friends, all of you, tell your friends about this notion of going to the pyramids, because the more of us that focus on doing that, I'll even put out an intention that I can guide you out there if you like too, just to get a whole group of people. It just sets up like a vortice. It sets up like a vortex with an intention. And what you can work on yourself is relaxing the body, relaxing the mind, getting to a hypnagogic state, which is like brain state going into the alpha waves, theta waves, and then just putting that intention when you're in a very meditative state, even just sitting meditating or lying in a reclined position. I find very good, because I also do it lying flat as well. I do it in every position, and to set that intention. And I feel with a smile in my heart. There's no fear whatsoever. Going to go to Egypt, and I'm going to go to the pyramids. I'm going to leave my physical body, go to the pyramids, see how and why they were constructed, and I'm going to remember the entire experience. Because the thing is, you may be going to these things and embodying it, but you might not remember. You want to remember the conscious experience. So I found, like, I found the really profound astral experiences I have, I wake up after them, like with lucid dreams. So therefore, I've got to think, how many conscious astral experiences am I having and not waking up after them? So when we say conscious, that means you've remembered it. So if a conscious experience is always woken up after, which is generally the case, then it's good to program that into the feed to say, okay, I'm going to wake up after it, remember it. So all these little things you can just sort of, you can write down a couple of times a day, meditate on. Because remember, as I said at the opening, um, there are enough of us souls focused on 3D for us to be here. If we want to get out of 3D, then we need to find a way to get enough focus away from the traumatic inducing agendas that are constantly being beamed at us. And it's funny because I'm writing a fiction book at the moment on these themes. It's kind of a humorous fiction book of astral travel, like a spiritual adventure. But it talks about these moon bases that have frequency machines that keep us in a certain level of fear. These are these are non-human entities who have made deals with certain entities that keep a certain level of fear around. If we look at it negatively and go down too many rabbit holes, that's what I've seen in the astral. If you go down too many rabbit holes, we're going to get very tense by it. But if you realize they're sovereign beings, it's like we're swimming against a current. We've chosen this so we can swim out of the current. We can swim out of the current. So that's the whole exercise of being human, I believe. Oh yeah, now one thing here. Mel goes, yes, what time do you think it's best time to do this? Yeah, evening is good. Do it in the morning as well, because I find after, when you get up in the morning, as soon as you can, before or after breakfast, just to sit down and tune into it as well, because it's called a hypnopompic state when you come out of sleep, and so when you're drifting just before you get up, that's a very good time to set these meditations and intentions in. So just as you come out of sleep, if you don't get a chance to do that, then later on, just lie back a little bit and just rid yourself of thoughts and just tune into that notion of going to the pyramids, and then also at night as well. So I do it a couple of times, morning and evening. Manny or M, you've said such a brilliant idea, visiting pyramids, the astral as a group. Yeah. So even now, loosely, if we just think of that, because the other people will watch back in this video, and the time thing doesn't matter. What I've seen in the astral is we can traverse time. So it's pretty curious. So it's a very fluid time, because that's when you're getting to fourth dimension and above, which the astral, of course, goes into. So it doesn't really matter when people take this on. When there's enough talk, when there's enough intention, when there's enough traction, it'll just take shape of its own accord and it will pull us toward it. And to witness something as a group would be good, because it gives people verification for what they saw as well. And I know other people have written to me and said they've seen dinosaurs with all the different purple and looking feathery. And so other astral travelers have seen that as well. And that kind of in the beginning did give me verification. In fact, a lot of the experiences I had in the very beginning were all about verification. I remember one great experience I had when I went out in what I call real-time astral, which is like 4D, I guess you call it, where it looks like this, but something slightly different. So it's like the closest frequencies that are not of 3D but above. Okay. And I went into the void, because before I was just going out into higher what I call higher dimensions or other dimensions. But this time I want to go out in this dimension. And I remember I was in a hotel. I've mentioned this before, but I went to the loo in the night, and then I looked back and saw my physical body, and I got quite a shock. I thought, oh, this is cool. I'm a ghost here. And that was when I started ghosting. And then I wanted to experience something, but I found myself, before I wanted to visit my girlfriend in Vienna at the time. I was in Munich at the time, in Munich in Germany. And I found myself going into the void. So I had this intention to go somewhere. I found myself starting to move. But how it first started was I was just walking to the loo, looked back and saw my body. At that stage, I didn't feel myself pulling out. I just was walking to the loo. I thought I'd gotten out of my bed. I thought I'd gotten out of bed, but I've actually just left my body. So it can happen in so many different ways. But to focus on the target. So I found myself in the void. I heard the Om for the first time, this low AUM. And then I found myself flying over a building, and I stopped this modern kind of building, skyscraper, very real. I'm looking down at it, freeze frame. I'm thinking, what's going on? Then I'm in my apartment back in Vienna, and I'm trying to wake up my girlfriend. A week later, I see exactly the picture of that building from above in the newspaper. And it must have been in 1999 then. It was the Millennium Tower built in Vienna. It had just been built, and that was the first picture of it from above. And it was exactly the same picture in the newspaper like a week later. So what happened was the astral experience itself was verifying to me that this was real. I wasn't asking for verification. It was verifying to me that this was real. Why would it drop me over the top of a building in Vienna? And I just stopped and looked at it and then went on. So it wanted to prove to me that you're not mental. This is not imagined. This is real. And also, most importantly, it's a guided experience. It is a guided experience because some intelligence guided me to that building. So verification is a thing that happens to many travelers early on. Otherwise, I think you just skip it. You just think, oh, yeah, that was pretty bizarre. Cool. What a cool lucid experience, and move on. This verification is a thing. So for us, for a few of us to get out as a group and to verify that, okay, this is how the pyramids were built. So speaking of the pyramids, what I urge you is to gently do away with any narratives if you can, and that's okay. Don't hang on to them. Become narrative free on this subject before you go. Also, the becoming narrative free, basically that's your left brain frequencies, that uh, your left brain's version of this situation or its idea of the pyramid. So what it's learned about them. Try to let that go, and tune into the pyramids that are an aspect of you. Okay, because everything, like when I first went out of body, this light came into my third eye, and it created all of these equilateral triangles of light, and it brought all these equilateral triangles of light into a ball of light in the center of my third eye. Why equilateral triangles of light? Then you look at the Sri Yantra, these sacred mantras. They all mean something. Like we are made up of from sacred geometry. So triangles, pyramids, these are sacred geometrical shapes. Our body, and our higher bodies understands their language better than our left brain's intellect. Okay, that's what I mean. So I find more and more, like, people say, how do you meditate? How do you meditate? Like at night, I'll just tune into my body. Like at the moment, we've got a pup. Some of you might have seen online. I know, Manny, you would have. Anyway, he's sleeping in our room and he wakes me up often before dawn. It's really annoying. And last night, I was in this beautiful position where I was kind of lying, funny enough, I was kind of half on my front. And I always say don't cross the arms when you want to go consciously, but I found when you cross your arms and your legs at the same time, there's a curious interaction that happens between the left and right brain. Very curious interaction. It's a very pleasurable experience to go. So I sometimes meditate like that as well. I don't do that for the astral, but then again, I'm going to lose the narratives as well. Maybe I was going to go astral. Just the dog started cleaning itself, which I can't stand. And that woke me up. So I've got to get the dog out of the bedroom. It's cute when it jumps on the bed later, but this dog waking me up at the astral times is not good. I've got to head out often and go into my chair to go astral. But I used to just that time is when it's a prime time to leave your body. But I just found any narratives to let go, and so we're losing the need to kind of define something. And astral experience is beyond that. It's you have direct experience, and you have, like, you bear witness to what we all are. So when you bear witness to how the pyramids are made and why, because it is such a mystery, there's something in you that will unlock. Okay, it's a sacred geometrical thing, and there's something that is paralleled with our body, that resonates with our body and our memories, and perhaps our future, that has to do with everything on the planet. But when something's a mystery, a part of you is tugging and not knowing what is that. And that's good to have unanswered questions. But when we can experience them, when we can, what happens is we actually push ourselves to the next dimension. So when you go and see something that is truly magnificent, like in the astral, you can see the beginnings of the manifest cosmos as well. What that does is that sparks something within you. It sparks your star body into being because you're witnessing the beginnings of the manifest cosmos. So it's actually answering questions you don't even know you have, and therefore your lock on this 3D starts to loosen. This lock that is upon us, or the prison bars start to melt away, if you know what I mean. It's an interesting discussion. So Manny's saying, poor Yoshi. Yeah, I know. Look, yeah, they can, but cats can more. I got to say, cats are more astral. Yoshi loves Reiki and stuff like that. I mean, I haven't met Yoshi in the astral yet, probably because he's always in my field. But yeah, no, I've got to get him out of the bedroom. I know Phil's going to find this funny too. G'day, Phil. I know I see you here as well. I mean, Phil, because Phil's had this discussion. He's a fellow seeker, and he said you got to get the dog out of there, Greg. And I was just saying, Phil, before that this morning I found myself just sort of lying half on my right side, but sort of half on my stomach, and I had my arms crossed, my legs crossed, and that just puts almost like an infinity symbol in your system. And I felt so relaxed. Not that it was necessarily going to preempt a full-on astral experience, but the dog woke me up with its cleaning. So I said to Moni, okay, you got to get the dog. He cleans himself, and I can't stand the sound of a dog cleaning itself. It just, oh man, brutal. Should have left and gone to the perfect chair. The reason I didn't go to my chair is that we have found another huntsman spider in around the vicinity of the chair. I'm not interested in going there at night when there's a huntsman roaming. I will find a spider and remove it from the room because I want to be able to go there at night. So these are the trials and tribulations of an astral traveler. You're hearing about my main stresses in life. Phil, what we're talking about, Phil will be interested in this, is we're talking about this intention of like a shared intention of, like, for instance, going to the Giza pyramids and looking at the notion of leaving the physical body, tuning into the pyramids or going to them, visiting the pyramids. Your system understands that. And seeing how and why they were built, and losing the narratives that we might have ingrained within us. The main topic of this discussion today was rather than focusing on how you're going to leave the physical, just allowing that to happen. It is a guided experience. So a lot of people get caught up with the vibrational state or something like that, but really tuning in on the target. So allowing the target to pull you there, allowing the pyramids, this experience of the pyramids to pull you there, because this experience of the pyramids is in our aura, it's in our field. We are made of mineral. We are made of the same mineral, at a atomic and subatomic level as the pyramids. We are resonating with the pyramids as we are resonating with everything on the planet. So, and such mysterious places as that have attracted a lot of attention over the eons. So there's a lot of energy around the pyramid as well. But you've got to know that as sovereign entities, we have the right to experience truth. We have the right to experience that. So to throw the narratives out, whatever we've thought they may have been built, to chuck that out, because your subconscious wants to recreate an experience otherwise. If you think they were built on sound, which perhaps they were, your subconscious will try to recreate that, which isn't necessarily a pure astral experience. So we've been discussing this all day. So we're getting into intricacies, but we're also thinking of a talk kind of experience, like this experience of a traction and a vortex moving toward it. I feel the same about my dog cleaning itself. I can't stand that sound. It just does my head in. And it pulls me to the surface. And it doesn't always do it. at that time this morning, man, it was beautiful. It must have been about 3 o'clock in the morning. Just when you're entering that very lucid state, and as I said, that hypnopompic state when you're coming out of sleep and skirting along, that is a great time to think of. And if you're programmed during the day that you're just going to leave your physical body, I'm going to visit the Egyptian pyramids, the Great Pyramid, Giza, it doesn't matter. Your system understands. I'm going to see how and why they were built, and I'm going to remember the entire experience. And the other protocols to relax the body and mind and that kind of stuff. But you don't need to focus on the ejection from the physical body, just letting go and trust. And these are like just pure meditation in its purest form. Like today, I was feeling a bit ruffled because of certain weather things, and they're saying that we're going to have a bloody rain event here in Brisbane, which is really annoying. Really annoying my tennis timetabling and my surfing timetabling because the surf's crap at the moment. But so I did a bit of yoga, and I did a bit of yoga before dinner. I kind of just wind down yoga rather than and it was really good just to let things go, so every day, whatever works for you, meditation, yoga, whatever, just to let the day's drama leave you, just to drop it, and to tune in before you go to bed at night. And that's part of the relaxation that I often talk about. Of course, I talk more about this in my courses while on that subject. If any of you haven't seen it, this is good. This is the Podia online course. Some of you might have done. I'm not sure if you've done that, Manny, but that's a nice one. It just takes you through step by step, and you can look back at the videos. There's also MP3s. I've just taken out the MP3 of particular lessons, so you can just listen over and over and over. And it's all, a lot of it is that like as many of you know, I went astral spontaneously, just because I used to meditate a bit, and maybe an inquiring mind. As many of you will attest to, having an inquiring mind is what it's all about. But I just find that I love just physically relaxing, and the mind dropping anxiety, but being aware that my body is relaxed, my mind is relaxed. That is the most important thing you can do, I think, for astral experience, because the rest just comes. So now I set up an astral protocol, and then I just let it happen. I don't force it to happen. So I'm thinking, I'm going to leave my body. I'm going to experience such and such. And I know it's going to happen. When it's going to happen, we'll see. Depends probably how much energy I give toward that. So, but at some stage, something will happen. I won't preempt. It can be anything. And I'll find myself becoming aware that I'm out of my body. You're out of body. That's all I can say. So and it's putting myself toward that experience, whether it's through a void or another way. But generally, if you close your eyes now and just have that feeling of, rather than focusing on this notion of this astral body pulling up out of the physical, think of the pyramids. Okay, think of a pulling toward that. Think of a magnetic pull toward your conscious mind, like toward the light. What I mean by the light is the light of your conscious mind, because our consciousness is like a light. We shine our awareness. So when we're eating food, we're aware of the food. We're shining our light on the food. So you can open your eyes now if you want. So feel that, and your system knows it. Like, I've never been to Egypt in the physical, but my system knows what that. I've seen enough about it that my subconscious knows what I'm talking about. If I were a blind person, my subconscious would know. And I've taught blind people to astral travel, because, and that is a great, we were talking before about getting verification. That's fantastic verification, when a blind person can go somewhere and see something with no programming and because they don't know how it looks. They might have been told descriptions, but they can have a vivid visual representation when they come back, and understanding how things can look. And that can also trigger spontaneous healing in the eyes as well, because you're pulling it from the other side. So know that the experience is pulling yourself toward it. Eliza. And I'm going to get back to you. Sorry, I haven't answered you back, because Eliza said she had a dream where she visited me. And I often visit, I have so many people in my dreams. Heading back to sleep after this and heading to pyramids. Yep. And as I said, it doesn't matter with time, because Eliza's in Canada. She might go to sleep after this and go there. We might go at another time, even another day or another week, but it will all match in at the same time, because that's the intention. There is no time out there, okay? So we can develop this vortex of energy moving around us toward the pyramids just for the fun of it. But as I said early on, know that any great question marks in human civilization are resonating with great question marks within you. The astral helps to dissipate question marks that can cause even some karmic level of anxiety within you. That's why the transformative, I can't, I could jump up on this table and scream it to the world how transformative the astral experience is. You experience certain things there, and it's immediately loosened in your field, and therefore karmically it doesn't grab onto you anymore. If I'm perfectly honest, my selfish focus, my own life, is that I'm as clear as possible, so that when the time comes, I can choose if I want to reincarnate as a human or not. And I've seen that I've chosen to reincarnate as a human this time, and that was very liberating, actually, to see that. All of you will have done a lot of this work before, otherwise you would not be interested in these themes. The basic meditation skills you've done before. You've done the cave meditation, you've done all that. You're now in 3D in whatever society you're in for a certain purpose. That is not a blockage to you. That is not a hindrance. You can have this experience. So these great mysteries, like of death, like of rebirth, when you witness them in the astral, there's a knowingness that gives you a release as a human being. This clutch that is around us releases you and enables you to go out more and have more embodiment and more knowing. The Giza pyramid has a lot of mystical energy around it. Once again, sacred geometry, it's within ourselves. I've seen these sacred things in the astral. I often see mandalas when I'm coming out of sleep in the astral, moving live mandalas. They are real. I'm not a Buddhist, but they look like Buddhist mandalas. These things are real. So this mystical presence of the pyramids is within our field. We'll be unlocking, when we unlock things there, we unlock things here. So M says, yeah, thanks, Em. No, me too. I've got to finish the thing. I'm getting distracted these days, but look forward to your new book. Yeah, it is a twist. I'll start releasing chapters soon, I think. And as I said, check out the links on my website. And once again, as I said earlier, there's this. Thanks, Manny. There is this the challenge, which is free, the Astral Body Challenge. Which just gives you some ideas, just to loosen that astral body, just every day to do something. And I love these meditations and stuff, but do know that the mystery of the pyramids is something within your body. Okay. When you experience that, when that mystery is unlocked, it unlocks something within you. Okay. So that's something really important to know. And I've meant to go back there and see this. So, yeah. So look, interesting stuff, isn't it? What we're talking about, and I'm thinking of doing more live kind of events where we actually travel to, or like I'm going to put up soon a thing called the Healing Project, where we send healing to one person a week for 2 days, and we actually hook up for like 10 to 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 nights a week, and then we're going to get that person to do a video on how they felt, because I felt and in my Reiki courses, I felt that like healing from distance, when there's two or more people, it's amplified. So the same thing goes for astral experiences when we amplify these experiences. So the group astral dynamic is something where we're headed toward. As I said earlier, the focus on planet Earth and this dimension is the reason why we're here. So it's something we can also unshackle ourselves from using the astral. So, yep. Look, guys, it's been great to see you. I'm going to sign off. Check out the video again in YouTube. It'll be put up on Facebook straight away. I really appreciate you joining me for these. It's nice to have the company. That's what's nice about the lives. It's not so premeditated. I never know where it's going to twist and turn. And I never even thought of this group idea of Egypt. So we'll do this. Thanks, Margozia, too, for joining us today. Eliza, good luck tonight in Canada or today, and good luck to you all tonight. Just start thinking about that already, okay? Our pleasure. And just start thinking about that already, that notion of Egyptian periods, but just know it's a letting go and just do your chakra breathing practice. I've got that on my website as well. And think about that course, this course, as I mentioned before, because this will take you through this one. This is a more, there's more in it. This is the breakthrough course, the online course, and it's on a nice platform. You can see it on every device. So people are having success with it. So I wish you also success. Join me next week. We might even do an actual active meditation next week. Yeah, make it live. Okay. So, and I look forward to your comments, sending you lots of love, and thank you for joining me. I won't do the drum roll as I did last week and the honky horn. I'll have to come up with something more fitting to the astral experience, something more resonating from the Astral Vortex. Anyway, guys, love to hang out with you and see you next time. See you next week.